All right, everybody, welcome, welcome, welcome. We have a very, very, very special presentation tonight for all of you. Welcome back to America's Mom. I'm sort of hosting tonight, but I'm sort of just providing the platform. I want to thank X America News for allowing us to put this out on all of your platforms tonight because these are actually the things that make the difference in your local community and in your state. What we're going to be doing here tonight actually moves the dial. This is what we need to be focused on right now. I have and so for that reason, sorry about that, guys. So for that reason, we are hosting the Colorado State GOP Vice-chair debate tonight. We have two men who have stepped into the ring, who are stepping up into leadership to help guide the next chapter for the state of Colorado. And I just want to recap very quickly what's been going on in Colorado before we get started this evening. There has been, of course, two new FBI federal investigations into and where President Trump was only asking for the 2020 records originally, now they're requiring 2020 and 2022. And there's going to be a full scale investigation into the elections and what happened in the state of Colorado that has led to the incarceration of Clerk Tina Peters, Mesa County Clerk Tina Peters, who, as everybody may or may not be aware, probably are 9 years she's been given in prison. But don't worry, in case you didn't hear it yet, Sean Puffy becomes like, yeah, he's in Colorado, and we have completely new representation in the Colorado State GOP. And there has been a little bit of drama. Actually, there's been a lot of drama surrounding the Colorado GOP and resignations, people stepping down, and videos were made. It's been a little wild. But tonight we have two men who've decided they want to bring some. They want to attempt to bring some calmness, some strength, some diplomacy back to the Colorado GOP. And so we're going to be getting into that this evening. I'm going to bring my friend on who's usually on here tonight. We usually host the Patriot Call on Thursday nights. It's Patriots from Colorado. And but tonight we are hosting the vice chair. You don't hear me? You're good. You're on. You're live. All right. I hope I haven't just talked to myself the entire time. If anybody is listening in, I think we're good. No, I think we're good.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you great. Yeah, everything's good. Everything's really good. So anyway, lots of stuff has been going on. You can't hear me? Is that what you're saying? All right, we'll come back to that in a sec. I'm not sure what's going on. Hey, you guys, if you're watching on any of the platforms, drop a comment. Just let me know that you can hear the audio and everything is good before we bring these awesome people on. And we don't want any sound problems. Sometimes when you're getting started, okay, good. All right, everybody can hear. Just make sure you can hear. Yes, yes, yes. And then I'm going to bring my friend back on. I don't know why she can't hear me. Check your audio. Yes, check your audio. If you want to go out and come back in, that's completely fine also. So lots has been happening. Tonight is usually, like I said, Thursday nights is our Patriot Call. We've been doing this for almost 5 years now. Every Thursday night, just about, or weekly, getting together and talking about how we move our state forward, and or our local community, or maybe there's an effort that's happening. It doesn't matter. We've been doing this for a long time. Once the 2020 election happened, and people were really confused about how those results became reality for all of us. And then subsequently, I don't have to tell all of you, but subsequently, the government massively interfered and overextended themselves into our lives. And so the Patriot Call became an outlet for all of us to get together and not just complain, but develop strategies to help secure our local communities. And we've had amazing guests on throughout the years, and we decided we would share these Patriot calls with all of you. And hopefully, you will do the same in your own communities. You will begin to network, communicate, and consistently come together so that you can save your own communities. It's up to you. I mean, really, I know I don't have to do this, but I do like to remind everybody, there's a lot of talk right now. There's a lot of chatter. People aren't happy about the conferences yesterday. They're not happy about no Epstein list, all of that. And guess I just want to remind you, I'm not happy either, right? I'm not happy, but it just reaffirmed what we all know. And it's why we're going to have such a fantastic host tonight who understands founding principles, who understands the proper role of government. You guys, we were never supposed to feel government this much. The debate we're going to have tonight for the vice chair position of the Colorado State GOP is a position you should feel more than the president of the United States. That's how it was originally set up. And yet that's not what's happening in this country. We've got to get some boundaries back, and we've got to get some reality back. We're supposed to be governing within our own states and feel that impact, which Colorado feels it mightily. In fact, we really didn't get the blessing and benefit of President Trump the first time around in the state of Colorado, which was disappointing. But now I think it's just a new day. It's a new day. People are really excited, and they want to see Man. Oh, shake yeah. Okay, we're gonna remember that. So anyway, so we're gonna just jump right in. I love seeing people are loading up. This is super exciting. Hit the share button wherever you're watching right now, because again, these are the things that matter. This is local. Local is what matters. Who is governing in your GOP, in your state GOP party? Because whoever's governing is setting the tone and the expectation and making the connections or not making the right connections for your state to advance into more freedom, more liberty, more choices, more options, and a more constitutional path forward. And that's what we're craving right now, mightily. So I am beyond excited to introduce you all to our special host who's going to be mediating the debate tonight. Because I'm always biased. I can't help myself. I don't even pretend that I'm not. But I have a lot of respect actually for both men who are going to be vying. I was told TNT was better. I don't know, you guys. I don't know. I don't know. Everybody else will be fine no matter what happens, but I may be a little glitchy. So, our special host, she's going to be hosting this debate tonight, is a trusted, true conservative in the state of Colorado. She has been on the forefront of the battle for parents' rights, for the security and safety of our children, for property protection, everything that is constitutional and has to deal with the proper role of government. Kim Munn at the forefront of. She has been hosting a morning radio show for a very long time and has been a leader and mentor of other conservatives in the state of Colorado. She is respected along both lines, whether you are a conservative, and even if you get the title Rhino from time to time, they still love and support Kim Monson because, again, she walks that line of what does the Constitution say? What are our founding principles, and are we being governed by that? That was my very first introduction to you, Kim. And it's such an incredible honor and privilege to once again have you here tonight with us to host this debate. So thank you so much for being here. And let the people know where they can follow you. I want to give some shout outs tonight as we're going through the evening. I want them to know who you are. People literally today, I've had to be on the phone almost all day, and they've said, Shauna, who should I be following? Who should I be listening to? And anyone who is espousing foundational principles and knows and understands the proper role of government. And just by the way, I want to add this too, has a lifetime of character like you, Kim. I want people to know and follow you and be listening to your worldview, and also the amazing guests that you have on your show are just absolutely incredible. So thank you so much.
Well, Sharona, thank you to you and Debbie for organizing this and for asking me to moderate this. The show is live 6 to 8 a.m. Monday through Friday on all KLZ platforms. So that's KLZ 560 AM, KLZ 100.7 FM, the KLZ website, and the KLZ app. If you don't get up early, the first hour is rebroadcast 1 to 2 in the afternoon, the second hour 10 to 11 at night. And then after that, podcasts can be found at Kim Monson. It's MONSON.com, and also Spotify and iTunes. We look at these issues through this lens. We want to search for truth and clarity by looking at these issues through the lens of freedom versus force, force versus freedom. Sharona, if something's a good idea, you shouldn't have to force people to do it.
And yet, here we have been in Colorado. So I want to talk a little bit about the questions you're going to be asking tonight, and how much influence really does the vice chair have over the Colorado State GOP as the party as a whole?
That's a question that I want to ask the candidates because I'm not sure. So that's one of our questions, Sharona.
Awesome. Okay, well, we're definitely in the right. We're thinking the same way. So we're going to bring our candidates on. I am going to be stepping away. Kim, I'm going to turn this over to you tonight. And just to remind everybody how this is going to run, for the first introduction, candidates are going to have 3 minutes for their introduction. They will give a 3 minute closing remarks as well. And Debbie, who is with me, hopefully her sound is going to be fixed here in just a moment, but she is going to be our timekeeper tonight, so she'll be paying attention to that. And listen, we're not going to shy away from hard things tonight. It's okay to have questions and to look and have the expectation for answers. So if there are questions that come up, guys, as you're watching here, drop them in the comments. I can see all of the comments happening on all the social media platforms. So if you're dropping questions over there, we're going to be picking those up, and we might be able to add a couple of those depending on how long we go. So Kim Monson, thank you again for hosting this vice chair debate tonight, and I'm going to turn it over to you.
Okay, well, great. Well, thank you so much. And what the forum looks like tonight is each candidate will have 3 minutes for their introduction and 3 minutes for closing. We will alternate back and forth on who goes first on answering the questions, and we will start in alphabetical order. So Mark Hampton will answer the first question. Response time is 1.5 minutes each with 30 seconds for rebuttal. A couple of things, as Sharona mentioned, this is live streaming on X America News and via Facebook Live on America's Mom's Facebook page. So be sure and check that out. And I think Sharona is going to bring our candidates on. Our candidates are Mark Hampton. Welcome, Mark, and Richard
Thank you.
Holtorf. And welcome, Richard. It's great to have both of you.
Great to be here tonight.
And before we jump in, I want to say thank you to both of you and to your families for stepping forward to put your names forward to serve the people of Colorado, because this is not just a one-person thing. It really takes it takes everybody. So thank you to you and your families for stepping forward.
Sure, thank you.
Okay. Now, Debbie, I think, is going to get on here with a timing. As with live radio, things can get very interesting. So live meetings can as well. I'm going to have my timer going. And when you have 30 seconds left on your opening comments, I'll just give you a 3 so that you'll know that we're coming in on 30 seconds left. Okay.
Sounds good.
Okay. So let's begin with you, Mark Hampton. You have 3 minutes to tell us who you are.
Well, good evening, everybody. My name's Mark Hampton, and I'm running for vice chair because it's time that we stop pretending that Colorado GOP is on the right track and actually start fixing it. Let me be clear. I'm not here for a title. I'm not here to protect the donor class or the establishment insiders. I'm here to represent the true grassroots, the real conservatives who knock on doors, make phone calls, show up to meetings, just like many of you. And now, under Britta Horn's administration, you get ignored by the party leadership. Just look at the committee appointments that she's made. The truth is, the Colorado GOP is in chaos. Since the new officers took over, we've seen resignations, dysfunctions, secrecy, and a $2.4 million fantasy budget that doesn't even include candidate direct funding. It's time for some accountability. It's time for transparency. It's time to stop calling for unity with hollow actions. We need leadership that works. I've built and run successful companies, and I'm also an executive coach. I know how to manage people, budgets, raising money, and outcomes. I founded Parker Conservatives, now over 2,000 strong, in just 4 short years. I also published the Honey Badger Report because I believe in calling out elected officials with no excuses and no regrets. I support closing the open primary. I support exposing rhino elected officials who vote like Democrats and betray our conservative values and principles. And moreover, I support giving the voice to people who built this party. Now, I've been called the worst possible candidate by the Rhino Echo Chamber. I wear that as a badge of honor. If the establishment's scared of me, I must be doing something right. We've reached the point where Jesus even flipped tables over in the temple when it needed cleansing. Well, and the Colorado GOP needs its own reckoning. And if I have to bring a sledgehammer to the table to get it done, so be it. Because it's not enough to talk about change, we have to fight for it. And that's exactly what I'm here to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark Hampton. And now, hold on just a second. Let me get the timer going. Now, Richard Holtorf, introduce yourself to our viewers.
Thank you, Kim, for inviting me, and thank you to all your listeners. My name is Richard Holtorf. I've served on the front lines in state politics as a state representative, House District 64 and House District 63. I've also served in leadership as the House Republican Whip. I know what it is to be forward fighting the progressive left Democrats. That's the battle that we need to fight in Colorado. Now, I know my fellow colleague wants to clean house with a sledgehammer, as he says, if he has to. Well, let me tell you what we need to do in Colorado. We need the leadership that I provide to help us do this. First of all, we need to understand we are a super minority, and the progressive left Democrats drive Colorado in any direction they want. If you don't believe me, ask Paul Lundeen, who's no longer the Senate minority leader because he was so frustrated and it was so difficult to even stop the radical left because he didn't have the help. He didn't have state senators shoulder to shoulder sitting in those seats to push back against the Democrat policies that were being pushed. Rose Puglisi, who I also know personally, was on the front lines. I have mentored and talked to her and coached her through her tenure as a minority leader because that's what I am. I'm an informal leader. I guide, I coach, I mentor. I try to help everybody that I can. And if people are doing wrong, I even try to help them realize you're doing wrong. Let me help you get out of the direction you're going so we can go in a better direction. You know, in 2026, the most important thing we're going to do is try to elect Republicans to fill seats in the state House, the state Senate, and statewide. I want Mark to listen to me closely now, Mark, because we need to elect Republicans. We can't do that if we're not working as a team. It's called teamwork. You want to be the state champions, everybody's got to play together for a common goal. And my goal is to help Colorado Republicans win by lifting up candidates. Candidates don't want to run if they think they're going to walk into a dysfunctional locker room and they're not going to get the opportunity to play and they're not going to win. Nobody wants that. They want coaches, coordinators, a staff that's going to help them win. And I want to bring that to Colorado as an informal leader, working with the current administration to advise, mentor, and coach so we can win again in Colorado. Because it's all about winning. If we don't win, we continue to lose. And right now, Colorado Republicans, we are losing badly. And I'm afraid that that's not going to change if we don't have the right kind of leaders that want to work together. And my time's up. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard Holtorf. So, Richard, we will give you the first question since we're going back and forth. And I want to say thank you to James for this question. It says, Colorado's Democrat majority has dominated the legislature since 2019, passing, well, they call them progressive, but they're regressive laws on gun control, climate, and social programs. This shift has alienated many Republicans, causing them to leave the state and shrink the GOP's voter base, which is making statewide wins more challenging. How should Colorado Republicans remedy this situation to become competitive in statewide elections once again? Richard, your answer. And you have 1:30.
All right, I'm going to hit the start button so I can keep track of the time. So I served in the state legislature from 2020 to 2024. I watched us continue to have our backs against the wall and be overrun by the progressive far radical left. And if people don't realize it, Colorado is a test bed for some of the most radical progressive left policies coming right out of California, right out of Oregon. So what are we going to do? Well, it starts with a message. It has to be a winning message that resonates in Colorado. It doesn't start with trying to clean house in the Republican Party, clean up, shame, bully, or try to kick Republicans out because they're not Republican enough. It has to be a big tent. So we have to open our arms. We have to love everybody just like Jesus said, if we want to talk about kicking over tables. And we have to bring everybody in and say, all right, let's figure out how we do this. How do we get a message that resonates across Colorado that people are going to embrace? And that's also those unaffiliated Republicans that have left the party. If we continue to fight, then we will not accomplish this. So I'm going to work to bring that message by mentoring, coaching, and helping develop strategically that message, and then working with the people that we have in place to build candidates that can take a Colorado message that resonates and win seats. Because that's what we need to do. Win in 2026. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard Holtorf. Mark Hampton, would you like the question again?
Sure.
Okay. And it is this. Do you believe, hold on, let me get, Colorado's Democrat majority has dominated the legislature since 2019, passing regressive/progressive laws on gun control, climate, and social programs. This shift has alienated many Republicans, causing them to leave the state and shrink the GOP's voter base, making statewide wins more challenging. How should Colorado Republicans remedy the situation to become competitive in statewide elections once again?
Thank you, Kim. Well, one of the biggest things is to have a good, clear message and leadership that can get this message out to people outside the tent that exists today, so we can get more people in that tent, as Richard said. And we're lucky we have a big tent, because if we didn't, somebody like Richard, as a Republican, with some of his Liberty scores at a 2020 of a 59.3, 2021 a 57.6, and a 2022 a 58.1, 2023 is 60.2, and a 2024 68.2. You never broke 70, Richard. So we're lucky we do have a big tent right now. And I agree, we do need a big tent. But we also need leadership that have good, strong conservative values and principles that drive on these. And that's part of the disenfranchising that we're seeing. Just since March of this year, the Republicans have had a net loss in registered Republicans of about 2,500 people, where unaffiliated have gained almost 33,000. The people I talk to on an ongoing basis say they've left the Republican Party because we don't stand for anything. We don't know what to do. Well, we need clear leadership, and we don't have that today, and we must coach that up. People are either born to lead or they're not. They'll either listen and take that mentoring and begin to lead correctly, or they'll continue to go down that same failed path. And what I'm seeing is a failed path for the current administration. I just want to get it on board, get it running correctly, as I've done in many businesses throughout the years, and get them finished up.
Okay. Thank you, Mark Hampton. Richard Holtorf, you have 30 seconds for rebuttal.
Thank you, Kim. Most of you may know that I ran a Social Security tax repeal bill in 2024, and the cut was against it. They didn't want to support that bill because they said it takes tax away from senior citizens and it'll affect the TABOR refunds. So they wouldn't support it. And I found that curious when I was actually running a bill that would cut taxes. So if you want to get 100% from the Liberty scorecard score, just vote no on everything and you'll get 100%. So that's, Mark, not a really good measure of performance and effectiveness in leading a very complex and difficult environment, which is governance and state governance in a super minority. So I just want to say that there's different leadership styles, and I will work positively to help Republicans win so we can change the outcome of what's happening. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Richard. And we went over time on that, Mark, so you have a minute for your rebuttal.
I'm fine. Let's move ahead and get the next question out.
Okay, very good. Thank you. The next question goes to you, Mark, first. It says, if elected, what do you hope to accomplish as vice chair of the Colorado Republican Party?
Well, first of all, you have to understand is the vice chair really serves at the pleasure of the chair. And she will deem, that's Britta Horn, on what my duties would be if elected, she could do what would happen to Daryl Phelan and freeze me out and give me nothing to do. And I could be on the sidelines. That's the cold hard facts. And I realize that. I'm hoping that through some coaching, we can figure out a way to start getting the other 50% of the Republican Party to come together. Because right now, as I said, this call for unity is being found with hollow words. I mean, we hear it all the time, unity, 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 but we really don't see it. At least the grassroots, the true grassroots don't see it. They seem frozen out as it is. So hopefully I can sit down across the table from her and negotiate some type of, not necessarily truce, but how do we move this party forward? Because if we can't start here, moving the party forward, to Richard's point, good people aren't going to run. And more people are just going to continue to leave the party because they see the dysfunction. And the more and more that happens, the further down the drain we're going to go and the harder it's going to make for us to get people and overcome this.
Thank you, Mark. Richard Holtorf, if elected, what do you hope to accomplish as the vice chair of the Colorado Republican Party?
Well, like Mark said, the first thing you need to understand is the exercise, and I'm going to rewrite out of the bylaws, Article 5, Section B.2. It's the primary duty is exercise the functions of the chairman during his or her temporary absence, and during his or her temporary inability to act, or at the request of the chairman, perform such duties as the chairman may prescribe. So you have to have a good relationship with the chairman if you're going to work with her. You can't build unity when you're constantly attacking somebody. It's like trying to save your marriage when you're always fighting and attacking your wife or your husband. It doesn't work. And oftentimes counseling has to bring those people together and say, hey, you love each other? What brings you together? What are your commonalities, and how can we build off of that to bridge this gap? I want to build bridges, and I want to focus on unity. You elect me, I'm going to work with what we call the grassroots. And we're going to have roundtable discussions, and we're going to try to build unity based on what we have in common, and then work together to influence the chairwoman in a positive way that helps build those bridges, and we're not constantly fighting like a dysfunctional family. And I have that ability. I can talk to anybody, and I talk to Britta and others, and I coach them all the time on, hey, we need to do this, that, or the other. Now it's just a matter of listening. I think I'm out of time.
Okay, thank you, Richard Holtorf. Mark Hampton, if elected, what do you hope to accomplish as the vice chair of the Colorado Republican Party? Oh, wait, hold on. That was you. You have 30 seconds. Sorry about that. 30 seconds rebuttal.
Yeah, just to follow up on what a comment that Richard made, getting along is like marriage. Well, I'm very fortunate. Just a few days ago, I celebrated my 43rd wedding anniversary to the same woman. So, I understand what it's like to compromise. And Richard only has one opinion of me, and what he sees is my social online personality. He doesn't see me in business and all the things that I've accomplished. And that's fine. I've coached some of the biggest companies in America in the restaurant business, some of their executive leadership. And that's fine. I know how to work with people when people want to work with me. And if they don't, they don't. But I have those skills, unlike what Richard might think.
Okay.
Thank you, Kim.
Thank you, Mark. And Richard, 30 seconds rebuttal.
Well, I would say if we have those skills, let's start showing them across the spectrum of Colorado politics, my friend. And let's work towards building unity, because oftentimes you have to extend an olive branch to bring people to the table. I don't know if that's happened. And I've talked with Britta, and she constantly feels like she's under attack. She's riddled with lawsuits. She can't, move forward with her vision when there's so many things that are attacking her.
Okay. Thank you, Richard. So, Richard, we are going to go to you for this question to begin with. And it is, what are your thoughts about President Trump's agenda and the big, beautiful bill and how it relates to Colorado?
Well, first of all, I love the big, beautiful bill. I love what it does. It probably didn't go far enough because of the compromise that's required in legislature to get approval. If you haven't been in the sausage factory and you haven't worked directly with Republicans, Democrats, far-right Republicans, moderate Republicans, progressive radical left Democrats, and also moderate Democrats to get bipartisan bills passed, which I've done. 36, I think, was the last count. I don't know if that makes me a rhino or a good legislator. I don't know. I'm not worried about my cut score either. That's not the tall pole in the tent for me. I worry about legislating and trying to represent my district. But I will tell you that Colorado is not a Trump state. And the fact that Colorado is going to lose funding for Medicare or Medicaid, and there's going to be an emergency session because of budget shortfalls, gives the Democrats a unique opportunity to come after and blame Trump and blame Republicans for their failure to manage a budget and overspend. So how's Colorado going to deal with that? Well, we better have some good messaging and good understanding from leaders in leadership to make sure that we can take care of that. Because when this special session is called, we need to be ready as a state party, and we need to help Rose and in the House, and also Cleve Simpson in the Senate now with messaging so they can explain who really is at fault. Colorado, it's the radical progressive left and Governor Polis who has spent so much money.
Thank you,
now we
Richard.
don't have any.
Thank you, Richard. And Mark, what are your thoughts about President Trump's agenda and the big, beautiful bill and how it relates to Colorado?
Yeah, I love the big, beautiful bill. You know, it didn't go far enough, but it really is going to help out, I think, a lot of people here in Colorado. I know a lot of my employees, from no tax on overtime and no taxes on tips. They're just ecstatic, and we're working hard right now to get everything in line so we can get that all into our system and start executing to it. You know, when I listen to Richard, he talks a lot about the House and the members of the House. It sounds like almost he's running for the House. He's running for vice chair, Richard. And a lot of the things you're talking about are going to be out of our purview. And according to Britta, she isn't taking any positions on any of these bills. She doesn't want us to do that. And that's fine. That's her decision. I don't believe in that. But so there's going to be very little when all this legislation is coming up in the House that we're going to be able to speak out against. I guess we can, but that would probably be going against where she's at. You know, earlier you talked about unity and all the attacks that Britta's under. Yeah, I think I remember you chairing the meeting in Brighton against Dave Williams to oust him. You know, so, you know, if you live in a glass house, be careful throwing rocks, Richard. That's what I would say. At the end of the day, we were very lucky that a court ruling in October of 24 basically resolving the leadership dispute due to improper voting. So, you know, when the shoe's on the other foot, you can't whine because you served it up initially, and now you kind of have to live with the aftermath of that.
Thank you, Mark Hampton. Richard Holtorf, 30 seconds rebuttal.
Okay, I'm going to start my timer here if I can click the button fast enough. So what I'm trying to show to the people watching is my level of experience, because I have it, and I know how difficult these things are. We need strategic messaging, and we need to help our elected officials and have a relationship with them that's open and transparent and connected. We didn't have that before. And I'm going to foster that. That's going to be huge as the vice chair, as I foster those relationships. Also, with respect to being the chair pro tem, I advised everybody that meeting did not have a quorum.
Okay,
thank you, Richard. And it would not have any validity if you go back and check the archives. So I said it wasn't going to be valid, but if you want to have an assembly and want to have a town hall, go ahead.
Thank you, Richard.
That was that. And I was very honest.
Okay, thank you, Richard. Appreciate that. Our next question our next question goes to Mark Hampton first. And Governor Polis has called a special Colorado legislative session that will begin soon. Then he surmised to address the $500 million hole that Colorado is in regarding the loss of Medicaid funding. Some are concerned that in order to fill the shortfall, The radical activist extremists who've taken over the Colorado legislature and governor's office have Tabor, which is Colorado's taxpayers' Bill of Rights, and Coloradans' Tabor refunds in the crosshairs. What is your perspective regarding this?
Yeah, they've been trying to take this now for the last few years, and they're going to keep coming after it until they get it. That's the end of that's the real story. And that's why our elected leadership, we need them to continue to vote with good conservative principles and not give them any ground in regards to getting their hands on Tabor. That is going to be the first place they're going to look. It's just this pot of gold that they see at the end of the rainbow. And if we get it, it'll make our lives so much better. Then they'll spend it all, it'll be gone, and then they'll be asking for more, because that's just what the progressives do. The more you give them, the more they spend. It's sort of like bird seed. If you put bird seed out for the birds, more and more birds come, more and more birds come. The more you feed them, the more they're there. And money's the same way. The more they get, the more they want, and the more they spend on frivolous things. So that's kind of how I look at what they're going after. And we're going to have to stay strong in both the House and the Senate to keep them at bay.
Okay, thank you, Mark Hampton. Richard Holtorf, would you like the question again?
No, I think I have the question.
Okay.
I voted against the repeal of Tabor every time it was brought up by the Democrats in the House. Now, Tabor's constitutional, so it has to be brought up as a ballot measure, I believe, and voted on by the people to repeal it. And most of us know that the Democrats are already using fees and other mechanisms to bypass Tabor. And they're doing it quite effectively. Enterprise zones, increased fees, and other such things, and other such mechanisms. But here's the real problem, Colorado. Here's the real problem that Republicans need to face, and those Republicans that have also left the party that we want to win back. They're going to blame Trump. The Democrats are going to have a media blitz, and they're going to try to blame Republicans and affect the 2026 election with that blame. So we have to have a strong media messaging campaign to educate the public, so we stick it where the tail needs to stick to the donkey. And we know who that donkey is, Governor Polis.
Okay, thank you, Richard. Mark Hampton, you have 30 seconds rebuttal.
I'm going to pass on my rebuttal. I mean, I think we're aligned here as far as this goes, Kim.
Okay, very good. Richard Holtorf, anything else you'd like to say?
It's going to be a real problem. And, they always say Republicans like to play checkers when the Democrats are playing chess. And if we're fighting against each other and we're, hitting each other in the gut and backstabbing each other and doing all this mess that we've been doing now for many years, they will continue to strategically run circles around us. And that's what we need. Somebody with strategic vision. Somebody who actually has a master's degree in strategic studies from the United States Army War College. I think that would help the Republican Party as the vice chair, Kim.
Thank you, Richard Holtorf. Okay, next question goes to you, Richard Holtorf. And it is, do you believe Colorado elections are secure? If not, what would you do to make them secure? This is paraphrased from a question that came in from Mary.
So the answer is no. I sat on the Legislative Audit Committee in 2021, I believe. 10, 12-hour marathon session. Lori Singh chaired it, but it was split evenly between the Democrats and the Republicans. So when it was a split vote, party lines, nothing was done. And there was evidence of problems, systemic problems in voting. So what's the most important thing Colorado needs to do in a statewide race, you ask, Kim? It's a great question. We need to elect a Republican Secretary of State so we can address election integrity. And I've told people this and will continue to say this. The one statewide position that is most important to us is trying to win that Secretary of State seat so we can get election integrity. And I'm passionate about that. So much so that there's some really good governor candidates that I want to sit down and talk to. I'm not in a position to do it, but when I'm elected to vice chair, I'm going to sit down and have a conversation and say, look, I believe because this is such an important seat that this would be a better position for you to run, and I think we can help you get across the finish line. Because Colorado GOP needs to help candidates get elected. What a concept. Instead of working against candidates, let's help them. Let's give them resources. Let's give them training. Let's give them support. Let's give them pep talks. Let's be available to them.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you, Richard. Okay, Mark Hampton, do you believe Colorado elections are secure? If not, what would you do to make them secure?
Well, to answer the question overall, no, I do not believe they're secure. I believe there's been enough evidence shown that our elections are not secure here with the Dominion voting machines. But it does start with Secretary of State. Whereas we may be a really tough road to hoe to get to that governor's seat, I believe if we all pull together a Secretary of State, we can get that position filled with a Republican. And we need to find somebody that's going to fight for us and run for that, where we've had several candidates come out for governor. Unfortunately, we haven't really had a whole, if any, that I'm aware of, come out for the SOS position at this point. And it is so key because everything's going to pin off of that position itself. So if we want to get rid of Dominion machines and going back to paper, optical readers, the way we had it for years and years and years, we got to get that first. But we have to have that seat filled with a Republican prior to us being really able to make any significant changes whatsoever in this state.
Okay, thank you, Mark Hampton. Richard Holtorf, 30 seconds rebuttal.
Well, I would just say that it's very astute of Mark to realize that my strategic vision has merit. And we need to work towards that end with Britta Horn, with Russ Andrews, talking to candidates and really trying to figure out who we can help elevate to that position. Very difficult. And it takes a lot of personal sacrifice. Somebody that's got their eye on the governor's mansion now is to be second or third fiddle. Nobody's going to want to do that. But it might be best for the party.
Okay, thank you, Richard Holtorf. Greatly appreciate that. And Mark, did you want to respond?
Richard, I really wasn't endorsing your position. I was stating my own, but thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Mark, the next question goes to you first. And that is, ranked choice voting was on Coloradans' ballot this last November. Over $14 million was spent to try to pass it. However, the people of Colorado defeated the measure. In New York, we are seeing in real time how ranked choice voting really works with the Democrat nomination of Zohran Mamdani, a self-proclaimed Democrat socialist who is espousing Marxist policies. What is your perspective on ranked choice voting?
It is an abomination. Yeah, Prop 131. It failed with only 44% of the vote. We're very lucky. I'm close to ranked choice voting. I have 4 businesses up in Alaska, Anchorage, that I oversee. And they voted in a year ago, ranked choice voting, and they just tried to get it out this last November. It just failed by a thin margin. But in the big cities, no like different than our big cities, that they have a very heavy Democrat in Anchorage itself. Most of the Republicans are in the outlying areas. It is bad that, we should be one person, one vote. These jungle primaries, as they're called, we shouldn't get behind them. And further, Dick Wadhams has expressed, support for ranked choice voting. That should be throwing a red flag up for everybody that's a true conservative if Dick Wadhams wants it, because that's bad news. So ranked choice voting is something we should not be doing. It should be one person, one vote. That's the way the framers wanted it to be, and not get into this goofiness of ranked choice voting. About 10% of ballots are rejected because people don't vote enough people. So since they didn't vote, if you're supposed to vote 4 and they only voted 3 or only voted 2 or only voted 1, that whole ballot's removed. So that person's voice is totally gone out of the system then at that point. They didn't get counted at all. And that's not what our republic is all about.
Okay, thank you, Mark Hampton. Richard Holtorf, would you like the question again?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
So ranked choice voting is the progressive left socialist, Democrat, Marxist Democrat's dream. And it has no place, in my humble opinion, in the state of Colorado in any election. But they do it in Denver, city and county of Denver. And we see what's going on in the city and county of Denver. So it has a foothold in Colorado. And we need to be doing everything we possibly can when it resurrects its ugly head again to defeat it so it cannot take over Colorado politics. If we were to have ranked choice voting at the state level or at the district level or at the congressional district level or even Senate or House district level, not only would it be incredibly more expensive because of the multiple elections that are required, but it would destroy the core Republican Party as we know it.
Okay.
We don't fare well in the current system we have now without significant changes in strategic messaging and leadership. And I guarantee you we would fare much worse in jungle primaries or these vote-offs, if you will, in these runoff elections.
Okay.
And for the grassroots, they would be so marginalized. And I am a rural grassroots Republican. Some people might not know that. I come from the salt of the earth. It's a real problem. And Dick Wadhams, and Mark mentioned it, maybe he's just trying to profiteer from that. There's a lot of profiteers out there just trying to make a buck.
Thank you, Richard Holtorf. Appreciate that. Rebuttal, Mark Hampton?
Yes, thanks, Kim. Yeah, this is where the state GOP needs to take a leadership role in educating the public and in educating these unaffiliated. The better we can get the messaging out and educating the voters on this from the GOP side, the better off we're going to be. And that needs to be a priority for the current administration, is educating the public, especially when it comes to ranked choice voting.
Okay, very good. Let's see. I think you guys are going to have to help me out. I hope I have my notes. Is it Richard that gets the question first this next time, or is it Mark? I think
it's
Mark's turn. I think it's Mark's turn.
Okay. Richard's turn.
All right, it's my turn. I'll take it, Mark.
Sorry about that. I'm trying to keep notes so I can keep it totally fair.
That's fine. Okay. It's perfectly fine, Kim.
Okay, Richard, we're going to go to you. What is your perspective regarding Mesa County Clerk Tina Peters' actions to preserve the county's 2020 and 2021 election server data before Secretary of State Griswold's trusted build on the voting tabulating machines? This comes from Pam.
Thank you for the question. And Tina Peters, that's a tragic story. As she was working as a clerk and recorder, trying to do what she thought was right, taking chances, violating some laws to do that, and now she has been punished. I wish Trump would just sign a pardon and end it. But apparently the political winds haven't blown that way, and that hasn't been something that's landed on his desk. But Tina Peters is in Mesa County. That is an issue that now she's in prison, and that has to work itself out in a different venue other than the front lines of Colorado politics in 2026. That marching band and that drumbeat will not help us, in my humble opinion, to win statewide seats in 2026. It will be a distraction to moving forward in the future to get Colorado Republicans elected.
Okay.
It's a tragedy. But those things, if we're going to move forward and win elections, we've got to move forward and focus on 2026 and winning elections. And like I said, if we want to take that to Trump's desk and ask for a pardon, we need the heavy hitters to do that. Where are they?
Okay. Thank you, Richard.
They're not the two people sitting in front of you right now running for vice chair of the GOP, I promise you.
Okay, thank you, Richard. Mark, do you want the question again?
No, I get it. It's about Tina. And it's a travesty is what it is to be convicted as she was trying to do what she felt was right when she felt some things weren't working quite properly, and she wanted to back some systems up, so she had evidence, and then to get this slam dunked on her. And I'm not an expert in presidential pardons, but I don't believe the president can pardon a state conviction. And that's probably the issue there, that has to come from the governor himself. But that doesn't mean that he couldn't freeze up a bunch of funds saying, we need to get this done. But I don't think he can offer a straight up pardon for Tina. As far as being a distraction, like Richard talked about, I don't see it as a distraction. I see this as a moral thing that we need to continue to pound on and keep in front of everybody. Because if they can do that to Tina, they can do that to any of us for speaking out. There's some guy in England that went to jail over a meme he posted. This is just the first step that the progressives are doing on jailing one of our county clerks. Who's going to be next when someone brings up something they really don't like? So I don't buy the fact that it's going to affect the 2026 elections. I'm more of, if we don't do something, that's going to affect the 2026 elections. We need to turn over that SOS. We need to free Tina Peters. We need to keep that front and center like Sharona does and a lot of other great patriots. But this can't go away.
Okay. Thank you, Mark. Richard, a 30-second rebuttal.
Thank you, Kim. So if we really want that Tina to be free, we have to elect a Republican governor. Okay. That's a pretty tall order. It would take everything we had in doing everything right in Colorado, which is not a red state, in a blue state, to do that. Not impossible. And also that Secretary of State. If we had a Republican Secretary of State, Tina would not be in prison right now. And that's a fact. So, okay. There you are.
Thank you, Richard. Mark, rebuttal, 30 seconds.
I'm good, Kim.
Okay, very good. This is our last question, and then we will go to each of the candidates for their three-minute final comments. So this goes to you first, Mark. Where do you stand on the request to sign the petition for an in-person, not Zoom meeting, independent watcher-prepared teller committee, and confirmable hand count ballot for the election of Colorado GOP Vice-chair? This comes in from Ann.
Thank you, Kim. Well, I stand firmly with, we should have this as an in-person meeting. I did send a letter to Chairman Horn on this, along with some other questions I had. I didn't get any good hard answers from her. I appreciate your message, but my basic letter was not responded to at all. I believe this is important enough. Now, recently, there's a quote that Britta said, the vice chair's position is not important. And I take it that means it wasn't important to have it in person. I wasn't there when she made that statement, but I'm going to have some supposition there. If we truly want to take our party seriously, we need to do serious things. And Richard's a good man and has done a lot of great things for our state. And so have I. And we should get the respect that we can get in front of the SCC members and have our time for speeches in person and not over Zoom. I don't know how they're going to get this many people credentialed. At the reorg meeting, just trying to get 100 of them credentialed was a pretty big task. And now they're going to do close to 500. I think they're, the size of their bite, they haven't really looked at it really well. I think they have a little too much here. So we'll see how it goes, but I believe it should be in person for fairness to not only us as candidates, but also to the SCC membership.
Thank you, Mark Hampton. And Richard Holtorf, do you want the question again?
No, ma'am. I think that the in Zoom, if you do a Zoom meeting and you can properly execute that meeting, I think it's fine. If you do in person, it takes resources. It takes traveling, time, venues, all kinds of expenses. With the Zoom, you don't have those. Now, I'm going to say something to all my Republican friends. The Democrats do this virtually and have for many years. How do the Democrats do it and Republicans can't? They take a lot of their businesses handled virtually, and they run circles around us. Literally, I've seen it. So we got to step up our game. We've got to use our technology and our tools, and we have to figure out how to do this so we can be more responsive. And this is one step. I don't need to speak in front of everybody. I've done that before, running for Congressional District 4 and running for chair. I've done all that. I think people in the State Central Committee know who we are. They know who I am. And the committee just needs to pick on the direction they want to go and who they want to help. Who do they want to help Britta Horn run the state party and have any measure of success electing statewide candidates? Because she needs help. I'm telling you, we all know she needs help. She knows she needs help.
Okay, thank
I want to
you,
help
Richard.
her.
Thank you, Richard. Mark, your rebuttal, 30 seconds.
Oh, I'm good.
Okay. Richard, you have 30 seconds if you want to say anything else.
Well, you know me, never want to waste any time. I want to say a lot of things. But I do want to say that we need leaders to work in a team, work in a frame of team spirit that's collegial, that they can talk to each other and never worry about somebody doing something with that confidential information that might hurt another party. And that's a problem. And not use it as a bully pulpit for something else, some self-serving desire or mechanism.
Okay, thank you, Richard. Very good. First of all, gentlemen, I want to say thank you to you. Thank you. This has been really informative. I know this has really helped people. And so I appreciate your spontaneous answers because you did not get these questions beforehand. We made sure that this isn't mainstream media. We don't do that. So with that, I want to say thank you. And also thank you to Sharona Bishop and Debbie Perry Smith and their team for organizing this very informative forum. So Richard, you began, you had first comments regarding your introduction. So you'll go last. So Mark Hampton, 3 minutes for your closing comments.
All right. Thank you, Kim. Thank you all for being here tonight. You've heard a lot of talk and sometimes a whole lot of talk, plans, promises, polished sound bites. Well, maybe not so much polished, but when the debate ends, the same question remains: who has a resolve to actually change things? We don't need another insider playing musical chairs while our party sinks and our true grassroots base gets ignored and the left continues to steamroll us across the state with the help of the rhinos. We need a leader who's not afraid to disrupt the system, to challenge the status quo, break groupthink, and work with others to rebuild and build something better. That's what I'm offering. I bring 45 years of big and business experience leading real teams with real accountability. I've organized conservatives from the ground up and have publicly challenged poor voting Republicans consistently and without apology. It may not be liked, but I do it anyway. Truly, I believe the Colorado GOP can be great again, but not if we keep choosing the same old retreads, not if we keep picking people who will smile to your face, protecting the same old failed establishment strategies and tactics behind closed doors. We need bold, unapologetic grass leadership, someone who won't blink when the pressure comes, somebody who's not afraid to call a rhino, and someone who will pick up the phone and listen to anybody that takes the time to call. This is our one shot. This is just not a seat. It's a reset of the culture of this administration. The days of silence, secrecy, and surrender are over. We have to choose to end them. So let's stop managing decline and start fighting to win. Not just in elections, but restoring trust, values, and a party worth belonging to. I'm Mark Hampton. I'm ready, and I'm asking for your vote on July 21st.
Thank you, Mark Hampton. And Richard Holtorf, your final comments.
Thank you, Kim, and thank you to everybody who's participating. I am Richard Holtorf, and I feel I am the best candidate to help the Colorado GOP in the 2026 election cycle. You might remember when I ran for Congressional District 4 that I railed against the establishment. And anybody that calls me an establishment candidate is very naive and misguided, because that's not me. But I'm also a realist, and I understand that 2026 is an important election with a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity if we don't blow it in Colorado. We have to have electoral performance. It's all about winning and winning elections and winning seats. Let's not forget, if we don't have the seats and we don't win, the progressive Democrats continue to run this state into the ground. And they're not going to abate. They're not going to let up. They're only going to push the pedal harder to the floor, which is what they just did this last session, the session that I missed because I ran for Congress. Our poor Republican legislators, senators, and Republicans had one of the worst legislative experiences of their lives. Ask any one of them, because of what the Democrats did. How do we change that? We change that by having a team of teams. We change that by statewide messaging and a statewide platform that's uniquely Coloradoan, that resonates with the unaffiliated voters that decide elections. Let's be clear. The far-right radical Republicans don't win elections in Colorado. It's a fact. We still need to preserve and protect our Republican ideals and our values. But how do we do that if we don't get Republicans elected? As we mentioned, and I brought up, the Secretary of State's position is so important for election integrity. How do we lift candidates up and make candidates want to run so they don't run from the civic duty of representing their district in public office, which is very difficult to do. I've done it, and I've ran for U.S. Congress, and I've raised money, and I watched all that money spent for naught. And Republicans, we might raise a lot of money, and it might be for naught. But it will definitely be for naught if we don't have the right leadership, we don't have the right vision, we don't have the right message. Now, oftentimes people confuse my passion for anger because I am a rocket ship. My level of energy is enormous and I'm passionate. I'm not angry. I'm a happy warrior. I will fight with a smile on my face all the way to Valhalla. But I will not give up and I will not stop fighting for Colorado. And that's why you should vote for me for State Party Vice Chair. Thank you.
Richard Holtorf, thank you so much. Mark Hampton, thank you so much. I know that our viewers have really learned a lot about this. And I, again, thank you and your families for stepping forward, for caring about the people of Colorado. I wish much luck to both of you.
Thank you, Kim.
Okay. We're going to bring Sharona back on because I think she'd like to do a little bit of commentary on the particular forum that we just had. Sharona, a lot of great information.
Yes, it was. It was a lot of great information, actually. I'm watching all the comments and watching what people are saying. And it kind of boils down to, I think, what's kind of a reality here. The divisiveness in Colorado as it pertains to the lawsuit that was generated out of the quote coup against Dave Williams and Hope Scheppelman. And I think that it's going to continue to be a problem. And I think one of the best things that could have been said tonight by Richard Holdorf was to acknowledge that he said that was not a legal move. I wasn't there, I don't know, but for him to have at least notified everybody, this isn't a legal meeting, this isn't real, just so you know, I think that could be a point for him because as far as I've heard and what I'm seeing in the comments is they believed he was a part of that coup. So that's interesting to me. And I guess it's going to come down to who people believe will actually represent them the best. I have to say, one of the tone, there's this idea that you can't do much unless if you're at the top of the ladder. But I think that we keep seeing through the grassroots effort in Colorado that that's just not true. People who are not even elected have done incredible things to bring attention and to bring change in Colorado. So I think of people like Aaron Lee, who literally has started has added massive fuel to the fire against the trans ideology of our children across the country. And so I just want to be cautious about that too. I am I don't want to show my bias so bad, but I know what it's I do have some a little bit of grasp, and I'm Kim, you've been around a lot longer than I have in politics, and you start to see that people start thinking that there's not much that they can do. And I get that. I see, but I see that individuals have been able to literally change the whole trajectory of the state of Colorado. And at a time when Colorado was trying to be trans, well, now they're not. Now the Democrats are staying away from it. We saw CU Boulder try to have a sex camp for little kids, and the voices of moms got national attention, and that whole freaking thing was shut down. And it looks like their funding is up for grabs as well by the federal government. So they're going to have to, they've got some splaining to do. And that was done just by regular citizens. So, how much more when you're in a position of authority like the vice chair of the Colorado State GOP? It is going to be what they decide to make it. If they want it to be a position of authority, it will be. And if they don't, and they want to just go along and they say that it's not going to be from a vice chair that moves mountains in this state, I guess that's what you've got. So I I've seen Richard Holdorf speak a long time ago and was absolutely moved. 100%. He is a veteran and a powerful voice. There is no doubt. And when I heard him, I wanted to just jump right in the ring. And I guess I would just say, as it pertains to Mark Hampton and the work that he's done in the private sector, the leadership, the businesses he's built, they're both bringing very strong attributes to this position, and they should be real comfortable with that, is what I'm trying to say. Be comfortable with being the leader when there isn't leadership, because we're going to need it in the state of Colorado. And I love what it's Jim Rome, but it's John Maxwell really that said, leadership is more than a title. You do get respect for having a title, but you get real respect for actually absorbing that position and being a leader in everything you do. And that's what we're hungry for in the state of Colorado. So I wouldn't surrender my authority based on a lesser title. I would jump right in, and go for it and do everything you can to save this state, and don't even allow those mitigating thoughts. So I'm listening to the debate tonight. I'm going to go back and review it again. But I just, no. I mean, individuals are powerful. I don't know. I don't know. What do you think? What was your thoughts?
I think that it was very interesting to have each of these men, I think, speak very candidly, which that is
Hmm.
so important. And that doesn't happen that often, it seems like these days. And I thought
I
it was a
really
really,
appreciated that.
yeah,
Hmm.
a real honest conversation. And you mentioned somebody stepping forward, Aaron Lee and Sharona. I want to have just a little bit of bragging rights because we broke her story on my show. And who knew? I had to talk to one of our colleagues, and he said, "Kim, we've got a mom up here whose daughter was targeted." And I texted back. I said, "Well, do you think she'll come on the air to talk about it?" Well, my gosh, she has become a force, a national force for our children, just like you are, Sharona. And I thank both of you for that.
Thank you. I wonder too. Maybe we can revisit a little bit about the Tina Peters. Now, what do you think about the state GOP moving forward? There's a lot of commentary about that too, and there is some clarity I think that I can bring to the topic a little bit. But I understand it's either a hot potato or it's a winning subject. What did you think?
I thought both gentlemen navigated that question pretty well. The
Mhm.
reality, though, is that Tina is in jail because she did what she was in a very difficult situation. It was a no-win situation. There was policies and procedures that were put in place by this Secretary of State and her office that would prevent Tina from making sure that she kept those records before the trusted build. Then the federal government says that she has to keep those records for those elections. So it was a difficult no-win situation. And it is a travesty that she is in prison. That, in fact, and one of the candidates said that, my understanding is that Trump cannot pardon her because she was convicted in Colorado court. But it's a travesty that they are holding her in prison without allowing her to be out on bail.
Yes. So I want to add a little twist that has recently come to my attention, because typically that would be correct. However, if it is found that there was federal collusion that guided the Secretary of State and the Dan Rubenstein, the district attorney of Mesa County, into coming up with how he was going to prosecute Tina Peters, which, by the way, the evidence clearly shows, then actually there is another tool that President Trump has in his bag. And that is one of the tools that is being explored right now by US attorneys. And that's not a secret. That is why there are multiple federal investigations going on in the state of Colorado and why information is being demanded right now. It's why they're looking over the footage from the county commissioner meeting of September of 2021, where Merrick Garland and Chris Wray and the DOJ and CNN called into our little peasant meeting that we were doing for the county commissioners. So there is a caveat here that hasn't been discussed much publicly yet, but President Trump does have one more tool. Otherwise, if he didn't, I would agree with what Holdorf said that, yeah, you're going to have a Republican governor because there's no way in the world that Jared Polis is letting Tina Peters out of prison. There is absolutely no way possible. I do want to let people know on the 22nd, there is a hearing, and they're going to be discussing whether or not they will allow Tina to be out while she waits for her appeal. And traditionally, that would have been the case, by the way. It was really cruel and unusual what Judge Barrett did by sentencing her immediately to prison before her appeal was heard. So that is a possibility on July 22nd. But there is this little caveat going on right now. And as long as the federal government can show collusion by the feds and Dan Rubenstein and Jenna Griswold, then there may be yet another card to be played. And I guess that is kind of what I mean by having an optimistic, hopeful, crazy things
Very
are happening. They can happen. I wonder if the guys would say, both Hampton and Holdorf both would say, can you believe where Colorado is at now? Where it has national attention almost every single day for another stupid thing that the progressive leftist wackadoodles under the guidance of Jared Polis are doing to destroy humanity. I mean, it's incredible to watch. It's like every day. I can't believe it because nobody cared 4 years ago, you know? And here we are now. This state is under a microscope by the federal government, and it's not Biden's administration. So I am really, really encouraged by that. But definitely keep hope alive with Tina Peters because she didn't break any laws. There were no laws that were broken. I want to be really clear about that. She didn't break any laws. What you said was exactly right. There was a certain order that Jenna Griswold wanted to have, but the law protected Tina Peters to do what she felt was best because she had the authority as the clerk and recorder. And that's why she was not charged with interference in any kind of elections or opening machines or anything like that. So I want to be really clear about that. She didn't break any laws pertaining to anything regarding securing election information, period. It wasn't illegal at that time. Remember, it was made illegal later to do a forensic image. So
and
I
that
just want to be clear about that.
Sharona, that seems to be many times what those on the left do is they use policies and procedures. And I think people need to understand that policy and procedures and being compliant is antithetical to a free people.
Mm-hmm. Yes. The trial against Tina Peters was in every form and fashion an absolute circus. It was a pound of flesh for Dominion, for electronic voting machine companies, and for Jenna Griswold and the Biden administration. And that is the fact of the matter. It had nothing to do with her having to make a hard choice. It's not a hard choice to protect and secure your elections as a clerk and recorder. She was just the only one who thought about it and was willing to figure out how to get it done without breaking any laws, without violating any laws. So I cringe when I hear that kind of rhetoric because it's not true, and it starts to kind of lay into falsehoods that are being repeated over and over. She didn't break any laws. She didn't commit any crimes, and she doesn't deserve to be in prison, not for one day. And as soon as President Trump can get her out, I know that it's going to happen. I know Stephen Miller has been tasked with figuring it out, figure out how you're going to get her out. And here's the thing about it, and I do think Holdorf does know this. And I'm sure Mark Hampton, with his experience in business, knows this also. You have to be more clever than the bad guys. You have to be more clever. And I don't know. Sometimes I do think there was so much clever things that happened under Dave Williams. I saw the party growing. I saw excitement and energy that people were taking a stand for our kids. And there seemed to be incredible pushback on everything Jared Polis and Jenna was doing. Remember, they tried to take Trump off the ballot in Colorado. And
Right.
if Dave Williams had
And that was
listened to
Republicans. Well, Republicans and independents, yes.
Thank you for reminding everybody. This is insane. That was insane. He was the Republican choice. He was the nominated candidate. He'd already been president. I mean, that was insane. And to hear the nonsense from the quote GOP of Colorado as to why nobody should fight to have President Trump on the ballot, or any candidate, by the way, who can legally be on a ballot, not just President Trump. There was precedence that was being set there. And sometimes we're so short sighted about our personal vitriols that we don't realize what we're doing is setting long term precedent for future candidates, not just President Trump, but the TDS was strong, man. It was strong. And so I was excited to be a part of that. I would follow Dave anywhere. And I'm so excited for him to be a part of the Trump administration. He's earned it, he deserves it. I'm thankful and grateful for that. What I would say at this point in time, and I really want to know what you think about this too, it's just a time to be courageous. The left is already making a list. What is it? What's his name? Rancic or whatever his name is, has already said they're making a list of naughty Republicans, naughty conservatives who are too, constitutional and going to stand up for themselves. They're making a list. And right now, we have momentum on our side to do what's right in the best interest of the people in every state in this union, even Colorado. And you have always said it, freedom versus force. If you got to force people to do it, it's probably not a good idea. That should be a resounding message throughout the state of Colorado. We've been forced into deals we did not negotiate and we had nothing to do with, like the quadrupling of our property taxes across the state. It's not something we ever decided. They're making decisions that are not popular on the left or the right. I think that was spoken very well by Mark Hampton. I think this is going to be interesting to see what happens. Oh, but I want to know, what do you think? Zoom or in person? Zoom or in person to vote for vice chair? You've got two really qualified, strong, manly men who want to be an authority, want to be a presence in the party and make good decisions. Can you really capture that over Zoom?
It's I think that the point was very interesting. I think in person really makes a lot of sense. However, Richard brought up a point, and that is for people to travel, hotel accommodations. That can make it difficult for you to have a wider range of people that attend. However, credentialing on a Zoom meeting, I'm not quite sure how you make that happen. So I guess I'm wishy-washy still on it, Sharona. I've got to think about it.
Well, remember we did do Zoom during COVID and it was a disaster. I was there for that for the CD3. It was crazy. It felt very insecure. I don't know. I think the party is not very stable right now. And I think anything you can do to promote security, like if
That's a
we're
good
in
point.
person, I'm going to feel a lot more secure. Even if we have to spend some money, I'm going to feel a lot more secure about that and what happens there. And if things need to be changed, you can't mute people. I mean, people were muted, people were kicked off the Zooms. Like it got a little crazy, and people didn't necessarily believe the results of the tabulation via Zoom either. I, in my opinion, if I was Britta and I'm trying to have unity and I'm trying to establish people can trust me, even though I've just had multiple people quit and make videos, like she's got a lot to overcome right now. I wouldn't sacrifice that for convenience,
I think you bring
personally.
up a really important point. If you have to make a choice between convenience and security, you've got to go to security. You just do.
Mhm, I think
Now,
so.
there's an event coming up, right? That you wanted to let people know about.
Such an exciting event. Yes, so this is going to be happening in Mesa County, and you know what? I need to pull up our details. I'm so sorry. I had them up. Um, okay, well, right back. This is funny that we're talking about Tina. And we're going into all of this because this is right where it all began, April of 2021. Dr. Douglas Frank, who is a PhD, by the way, a PhD, and he's amazing. He is not just a high school teacher, which there's nothing wrong with that, but he is definitely one of the smartest guys in the room. Anyway, he came to Colorado in April of 2021 and showed us the algorithm that was in our Colorado elections in every single county in Colorado. And he is coming back. He is going to be here in Colorado. And I do apologize. Debbie would be saying this, but I think we're having problems with our audio. Um, he
I've
is
got
going to
it.
be
It's going
coming.
to be this coming Tuesday,
Yes.
the 15th at 6:30.
Yes, yes, yes. The 15630 at Stand for the Constitution in Grand Junction. They're going to be hosting him, and this is he has got so much new information. Just a little highlight: the cast vote records finally were retrieved from Mesa County's 2021 municipal election, which is what started it all for me. I was like, I don't trust the results of this. I don't think this is true. There's no way this can be true. Started our canvassing effort, brought Dr. Frank to our community, ended up Clerk Peters making forensic images, and then we have this crazy summer of like weird FBI interference. Like one day we will tell the story of everything that went on. It was insane, all because we did not trust the outcome of an election. And Dr. Frank is coming with that cast vote record information. And just if you guys haven't watched my interview with Jeff O'Donnell, who actually got the cast vote record and went through the information, the municipal election of 2021. Kim, are you aware of this? The cast vote records demonstrated that the tabulator was gone into either remotely or in person. We don't know because that is gone. That information was eaten up by that cannibal program that is in SQL Server that is in all of the machines. But what we do know for a fact is that the the tabulation count was interfered. It was gone into twice leading up to the actual election night when the final tabulation would have been legally pulled by Clerk Peters at 7 p.m. But it was pulled twice before that illegally. Somebody pulled the numbers to see how many more ballots they needed, is my suspicion.
Well,
So there's a lot more information. Yeah.
and that's Mesa County, and actually Dr. Frank is going to be in Mesa County on the 14th of July. And then we've got this whole cast vote record thing that has just come to light in
Yep.
Arapahoe County. So he
Yep.
will
That
be in
too.
Arapahoe County with Mark Cook and Ed Solomon on the 15th on that. And that location is to be disclosed the day before, and
Yes.
that is going to be Tuesday the 15th in Arapahoe County at 6:30.
And that is going to be so worth the time. Mark Cook, Ed Solomon, Dr. Frank, you get all of the absolute stars who understand what's going on. It's really worth it if you're running for a political office of any kind or to have a leadership position in Colorado to really understand what's happening with these machines. So maybe as one more little point of reflection, one other thing they're going to be addressing is President Trump's executive order surrounding our election platforms and our election process period. The federal law and our election, this executive order, federal law demands that, hey, federal elections, you must show your ID. You must prove you are a citizen. The Supreme Court is backing that up. Thankfully, because obviously they got sued for saying you have to prove you're a citizen and tried to say that we're going after soldiers to prevent them from voting. It's just insane.
It is. It's really crazy what's been happening out there. And so it is really important. These
So
two
no,
events,
you're
yeah, these two
very,
events
very, very
are
important. All right, guys. Well, you're going to hear so much more. There's going to be so much happening. I want to thank everybody for being here tonight. Kim Monson, thank you for being here tonight. And also, one last time, tell everybody where they can hear you every morning. Your incredible radio show. You're such a force for founding print.
Well, thank you, Sharona. And yes, you can find me 6 to 8 a.m. Monday through Friday on all KLZ 560 platforms. First hour is rebroadcast 1 to 2 in the afternoon, second hour 10 to 11 at night. Then everything's on the website, kimmunson.com, as well as Spotify, iTunes, all the streaming services. Sharona, to you and Debbie, thank you for the work that you are doing to reclaim Colorado and reclaim our country. I so appreciate all of your great work.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And we'll be looking forward to a reason to get back together again very soon. Thank you guys all for being here. We're going to hang for just one more second. Thank you for hosting tonight's Kim Monson. This was the Colorado State Vice Chair position for the Colorado State GOP. And it's going to be really interesting to watch and see what happens. Thankfully, I think we've got a couple of great options. And either way, I think the state is going to be blessed through strong. I personally love strong, manly leadership. I just do. I really enjoy it. I'm so grateful for it. So thank you again, Kim, and thank you for being with us. All right, everybody. So I'm going to try to bring Debbie back on because we didn't get to talk with her. And we always have to talk and say what we think.
Oh, good. Can you hear me?
Do we have you on? Can I?
Can you hear me?
It's like magic. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Can you not hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I don't know what happened, but I mean, I was able to hear you guys the whole time. So, anyway, it's all good.
Awesome. Well, we're totally live. We're live on every platform, so everything went really good. What a gem. Kim Monson's the best.
Yeah,
I
she
know
is.
how.
I
She's
appreciate
the
her
best.
for
Yeah, she's
sure.
the best. So, what were your thoughts? What are your thoughts about the vice chair choices? I thought Mark Hampton did a great job. I always love business owners. There's just a reality check there when you got to work your tail end off for everything you've got. I mean, I love that. But what was your thoughts?
I guess one thing that really kind of knocked me off a little bit was when Richard really said that he didn't think that Liberty scorecards were important. And
Oh
that,
yeah, and the people watching didn't like that.
oh, really?
Richard,
Yeah.
take note. They don't like that.
Um,
They
you
don't
know,
like that. I was surprised Mark didn't say anything back.
well, he was a gentleman. It's okay. It spoke for itself. That's okay. Yeah.
I
So,
mean, well, what is the Liberty scorecard? So for people who are watching, I mean, we look to organizations that we trust to tell us whether or
yeah,
not this person is a conservative. During COVID, I think there was a lot of discussions about that because we had strong conservatives who their Liberty scorecard was lowered because they were voting for money to be distributed to their communities because it was the government that took it away from them. So they were like, listen, government needs to fix this. Like, we're not letting them get away with this. And I had to say okay to that because what else are you going to do? I mean, I was watching it in real time, so I got that. But now here we are. We're well out of COVID. We've got 2 years now where we should be seeing an uptick in strong conservative values in their voting.
yeah, yeah. Well, I think the other thing too is I really feel, and you and I mean, we've been in the thing with Tina for a long time, you more so, but I don't consider Tina Peters a distraction. Tina Peters is a national hero. I don't think she just is a distraction for the party. I mean, we have got to get behind her. And there is a portion of the party that has gotten behind her. I think it'll be very telling to see who shows up on July 22nd in front of the courthouse. I didn't see anybody, and I'm just going to be straight up honest. I was there for 2 weeks, and I never saw anybody from the current administration of the GOP show up for Mike Lindell's
Yeah.
trial. Nobody.
Yeah. Which was crazy to me. I
And
mean, that
yeah,
was crazy. Yeah. Kind of surprising. Not that you have to be a groupie, but the reality was he was literally there fighting for your right to say what you want about elections.
yeah,
I
freedom
mean,
of
that's what it
speech.
was about. Yeah.
And I don't know why I was grateful to hear at least Richard say that he did believe that we had some issues with our election system in Colorado. I mean, it's a national thing, so I was grateful to at least hear that maybe he was kind of in that vein. But anyway, they're both very strong men with two different skill sets, and it's a matter
Mhm.
of whether or not you do want to go with someone who's just going to ride on Britta's coattails and do just everything about that she says she's going to do. I mean, you know, um, I understand. Yes, we definitely need to get Republicans elected. And one thing I agree. I agree with Richard 100%. Boy, I wish somebody would sit down with these 14 GOP gubernatorial candidates and flesh this out.
That was a gr
The field's got to be narrowed.
That was a winning, I thought that was a winning point, just the reality check there that there's gonna have to be, and you've been saying that all along too, that it's gonna have to happen. You can't have that many strong, very capable people running for governor. You got to spread that wealth around, spread that leadership around. And I hope he's right. I hope that there will be enough humility in some of these really great candidates I mean, because I don't think it's a lesser position.
No, they're all equally important. It's a trifecta, right? I mean, we've got to have AG, we've got to have Secretary of State, and there are some very capable candidates inside of that have stepped up to run for governor. So
Sorry,
the leadership
my
thing to do
internet's just,
would be
yeah.
to step down and go, okay, I'm going to run for Secretary of State, or I'm going to run for treasurer, and,
Hmm.
and bring all that talent to the
Hmm.
table. So, um,
I like that. I think that's probably going to happen sooner or later. But I would also say, There was caveats a lot to when I have that position, or I'm not. I
You're frozen
just
again.
disagree with that. I think you establish your authority, and if you have experience as
Right.
Holdorf does, and leadership and all that, you don't wait for a position. And I'm sure he knows this. I don't need to, nag or anything like that. But I just really believe so much, just right where you're at, you have the authority to do
Right.
what needs to be done. And
To
I
make a
really,
difference.
in Colorado, do it. Just do it. That we need people who are going to just do it without a title, without the appointment. It's okay. You probably have more freedom and flexibility to do a whole lot more beneficial things if you're not
Yes.
specifically in an office position where everybody's scrutinizing every little thing you do. I mean, no thank you is my mantra about any of that kind of stuff, because you are so limited based, if you care that much, I should say, about public opinion or donors or whatever. It can get really, really, really tough to be effective. So I guess
Yeah.
we're going to find out what happens. I didn't see anybody saying, I guess I'm curious in the comments, guys, what you think. Was there a winner to the debate? Did you think there was a winner to the debate tonight?
I'm not. I'll wait to see what people have to say. Of course, Mr. Holtorf. Yes.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So Richard's declared he has won, I'm sure.
He's done. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
What I agree with completely. This was so much more refreshing. Like last time when we did the GOP chair debate, just too many people, and you
Yeah.
really can't get to the heart of things.
I agree.
Yeah, and as we get better and better at hosting these, which I'm really thankful that the candidates let us do this. That's why I don't want to decimate anybody, because I appreciate it. I want to do it, and I did like I really do agree with the message of. I do not agree with looking past voting records and positions that are not aligned with the Republican platform. I do not agree with that, because what you see in real life is when somebody takes a stand, other people follow. That's the reality of life. I mean, if you've been my brother's been in the military. We've had long conversations about this. Somebody is an authority and everybody else follows. Like that's what happens. So again, it just comes back to me, for me, no, I don't think we need to cater to the unaffiliated vote. I do believe the unaffiliated vote in the state of Colorado is far more conservative. They're not hanging out over the transgender issue anymore. We barely saw any pride parades in the month of June in
Yeah.
Colorado. I was there.
Yeah.
I didn't see much going on. So it's somebody has determined this is not the right direction, and they know it. The left knows it. So they're not celebrating it like they were. I think common sense is going to prevail because you have way too much crime. Again, you're under the national spotlight. You have massive crime. You have massive illegal immigration, legal in Colorado, I guess, but the consequences are the same as illegal. Um, Massive property taxes, massive cost of living, and it all seems to be. And then you've got election fraud. You've got these cases that are going on now in the state of Colorado, and then you've got Jared Polis gaslighting everybody, acting like everything's just great. Why can't you put it together? Why can't you be a billionaire like me? So I think that people don't respect Republicans because they become more liberal. I'm sorry, they do not. I never was a political person. I just like people to be honest about what they think. And nobody ever expected me as a Christian to support abortion, ever. Why would you?
Right.
Because I'm a Christian. Nobody
Right.
would expect that of me, right? But they
Right.
still, many people I work with, they can have their thoughts about abortion. But if I say I'm a conservative Christian or I'm a Republican, people automatically say, oh, well, you are
Yeah.
pro-life.
Right.
That's correct. I don't need to change, and the Republican Party does not need to move away from conservative values. I disagree wholeheartedly. There is a leadership vacuum right now
Mhm.
in the state
Yeah.
of Colorado, and I want to be strong about this. Under Dave Williams, whether people want to say they liked him or not, the party registration was growing, the money was coming in, and every time that they made a strong stance on the defense and protection of our children, it only increased. It only accelerated. And then people like me and others, we used every tool in our bag to help and support. But I'm not interested in exhausting myself over Limp Biscuits. I'm just not.
Something.
It's not
Um,
inspiring.
I really wish that the question had been asked. Britta put forth a $2.4 million budget over the next 2 years. She's already hired about 5 consultants. She's going to be taking herself somewhere in their neighborhood of $100,000. I wonder if Richard or Mark would be taking any money, or if Russ
We didn't
Andrew.
even ask.
We should have
Forgot
asked
to
that
ask.
question, which
Should have
is
asked.
a shame. So Richard is saying in our chat, Sharona, that no, he would not take anything, but it's cool, that they've got 5 consultants and no budget. Nobody knows where the money's coming in. She's filed to only do biannual reports. So nobody has a clue. Nobody has a clue.
I mean,
Even a stipend, Richard. Yeah. So he's saying the vice chair doesn't.
I mean, you want.
Okay. We're frozen again.
He doesn't need it. Well, I mean, as hands-on as you're talking about, it's not about being opposed to people being able to eat and take care of their families while they serve in leadership positions. 401ks and healthcare. I mean, I don't know. I
that's
haven't given it enough thought to think about. It seems wild.
Yeah. No. I'm going to go back to the in-person. There was a petition that was put forth by Jeremy Goodall.
Mm-hmm.
About a third of the SEC signed that petition wanting an in-person meeting. Britta has just come out a couple of days ago. I mean, I know that there are others that have sent in questions. There has been a call for a special SEC meeting. Now, I don't know whether or not that's been followed up with. She had until today to respond to that, of an SEC meeting to talk about the in-person for the vice chair position. I don't care. I think it's an important position. All the leadership, elected.
I do too.
And the part about, we can't travel, we can't do this. Well, you know what? The people that were involved in the coup last summer, they had a meeting in Brighton, and they had no problem traveling for that meeting at all. And there was a couple of hundred people there. So, why they can't.
Excellent, my friend. Excellent point. I guess it's all about where your priorities are. I mean, I know it's a hardship. I just completely agree with you. Like, I don't think from our experience, the vice chair position is not an offhanded position. It can be whatever the vice chair is going to make of it. And we need strong leadership. You are not going to have strong leadership, clearly. I mean, we've had time to see what's going to happen. It's not happening. I just think people really need to just take authority and just understand there is a vacuum of leadership in the state of Colorado, and we need to take this very seriously. It is not a big deal in the middle of summer to travel. Okay, we're not in the middle of snowy winter time. I think it is worth it. I think it's a very important position. It's why we're taking the time to have this debate tonight and have this conversation tonight. You are going to make decisions, and you're going to be, as the vice chair, very influential to the head of the Republican Party in choosing who you will put resources behind, who you will be supporting, what avenue you're going to go down, what mentality you're going to choose, neutrality or strong conservative Republican platform values. You're going to have a lot to say about that, and the influence you're going to bring to that deserves an in-person meeting, in my opinion. I just, again, it's up to Britta what she's going to do if she does want to promote more credibility or not. I guess in the big scheme of things, if we didn't have everything that's happened in Colorado happened the last 5 years, I'd be like, Zoom's fine. But this is important. It's sacred.
A couple points. Yes, I stand corrected. There was under 200, maybe 130-ish there. The point being is that the people that went made the effort to go, which was Britta Horn, which was, the others, it was important enough to them to come. So, I, just to let you know, and our audience know, that the Rock Church in Castle Rock was secured for July 26th for a meeting. So there were things in place to be able to have that in-person meeting. And I put out, and I'm happy to do this. And of course, Britta can get her own, but I was one of the co-chairs for the Pueblo Assembly for Teller Committee. I chaired the reorg meeting as well. And even Richard's watcher was in there and was very complimentary of the process and what we did in paper ballot hand counting. And so, I'll offer that up again. If they don't have anybody to head up the Teller Committee, I'm happy to do that. I know that I believe it's Shannon Anderson is heading up credentialing for that out of Teller County. But again, I've done it enough now that we can pretty much do it in our sleep, and we've got a good mix of people from across the state that would come and be a teller committee for a paper ballot hand count. It's not that expensive.
Yeah.
So,
Mm-hmm.
it's not hard to do. All you have to do is print the ballots. And
Yeah.
we handed off all the supplies after reorg. So they've got all the ballot boxes, they've got all the materials to do this. I don't even know, I don't know where that
Yeah.
is. So one last note, Sharona, from my end is, again, I want to promote Dr. Frank in Grand Junction on the 14th, and then in Arapahoe County, Central Arapahoe County, on July 15th, Tuesday, a week from tonight at 6:30. Really this is the kind of thing that you want to bring your neighbors to. I mean,
Mhm.
Dr. Frank
Yeah.
is so good. He's a teacher, but not just a math teacher. He's a physicist. He's Dr. Frank, right? Which Halderman is like, oh, I think he's a math teacher.
I would love to see Judge Barrett debate Doug
Oh
Frank.
yeah.
Good luck.
Oh yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
ugh.
So if anyone is interested, please email me. It's all out over social media. We will release the location 24 hours prior to the election summit on Tuesday night. So it's Debbie, debbiecolibnet@gmail.com. We will be live streaming as well, but I do not know yet what platform we're going to be doing that on. We've got to get that sorted.
Okay.
So
Awesome. Well, I mean, shoot, if we can, we'll stream it here. That would be
well,
great. It'd be
that's
great
what I
to have
wanted
him.
to ask you about. I would
Yeah,
love to
yeah,
do
yeah.
that. So
Yeah,
I don't know.
let's get it
Oopsie, he froze again.
sorted. We definitely have the ability to do that night. Yeah. Mhm.
Okay,
I
well
know.
then,
I switched to AT&T and I think yeah, I don't can you hear me now? I don't know.
no.
I don't know. You know
Oh,
what?
and I don't know
You know
what.
what? Maybe I'm gonna switch to Patriot Mobile. I don't know. I
I do want to
don't
say
know.
though, I did have a number of texts. People could not, for some reason. I probably had at least a dozen between emails and on my phone that people could not get into either platform. So I
Yeah,
don't know.
it's all up now, so they can go back and watch. It'll be
Yeah,
saved after we're done
please tell
here.
people. Yeah, please tell people
Yeah.
where we can go and watch that. Watch the recording from tonight.
No, we'll send it out to our group. It's going to
Yeah, I'll
replay
do
again here. They're here now. It's on both X America News and all of America's Mom platforms, on YouTube, on Rumble, on Getter. It's everywhere now. I don't know why the Facebook stream didn't happen, and then I thought about hitting it now, but then everybody paused for a second, so I was like, I better not. So we'll restream it after we're done here onto Facebook as though it's live, so it will be there. But I want to
that.
thank everybody for being with us tonight, and I really want to say it is not easy to get on in a public audience like this and know you're going to get ripped apart probably a little bit afterwards for dissenting thought. And so the comments I see, I want to say, not Republican enough. That's not what I mean. I mean that we have a Republican platform. And if the Republican platform is not something that people want to support, we do have a big tent. We welcome everybody, but that doesn't mean that you're necessarily going to be considered for representation and leadership. If you don't like the Republican platform, then don't run for office. That is my position. And I'm not changing that position because we've
Yep, you froze up again.
had plenty of people come in who they pick a couple things about the Republican Party. Is it seriously cutting out?
Yeah.
Okay, then I'm going to stop because there's no point. All right. Well, people are happy. I'm not going to get to have my rant. So, okay. Well, God bless you all. We're going to wrap it up tonight. We went way
Thank
too
you,
long,
Winter. Thank
and
you.
I'll do it on my
Mark,
show tomorrow. Yeah.
Shona, and Kim.
Mark,
All right, girlfriend.
Mark and Richard, great. Yes, Mark Hampton, Richard Holtorf, Representative Richard Holtorf. Thank you guys so much. Thank you for being with us and giving us this platform, the opportunity to host you guys. Really appreciate the conversation. And it is hard to be mad or angry or hateful when we get to hear it directly from you guys. So thank you for that. It's very reasonable. It's a great discussion. And I mean, I think there was a little bit of unity here tonight. I don't know.
That would be a but God moment. So that would be great. We do pray for that, and we do have to figure out where the meeting in the minds is going to be. And
Mhm.
I think it can
Mhm.
happen.
I agree. I think so too. All right, everybody. God bless you. Remember, all that is necessary for evil to prevail is for good men and women to do absolutely nothing. We'll see you guys back here tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, 1 p.m. Central, 12 Mountain. And for all those still sleeping in on the West Coast, 11 o'clock a.m. We'll see you guys back here tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Good night. Thank you.